Kind words of introduction. My candor may have something to do with my being in the opposition, but it doesn't really matter what I say. But it's delightful to be with you all today. Distinguished guests, friends, scholars, colleagues, it really is a pleasure to be amongst you today as we celebrate the second Foundation Day of the Chintan Research Foundation. On this special occasion, I really extend my heartfelt congratulations to everyone associated with the institution, Pranav Adani, who is at the helm, Shishir Priyadarshi, who leads it daily, the leadership, the researchers, the supporters and well-wishers, and all of us here who wish it well. In a remarkably short span of time, CRF has established itself as a thoughtful and respected voice in India's intellectual landscape, fostering informed debate, rigorous scholarship, and meaningful engagement with the issues that shape our nation's future. Its achievements are, in such a short time, a tribute to the dedication and vision of those who have nurtured it, and I'm delighted to join them in marking this important milestone. The name itself tells you everything you need to know about its guiding spirit. Chintan means reflection, not idle, passive contemplation, but the kind of reflection that is inherently restless, that refuses to settle for received wisdom, and that ultimately drives systemic change. It's a word that speaks to inquiry before ideology, to evidence before assertion, and to the intellectual humility of asking difficult questions even when the answers may be inconvenient. In our civilizational tradition, Chintan has never been an end in itself. It has been a precursor to action, a means of translating thought into purpose and principle into practice. The most consequential ideas are rarely born in moments of certainty. They emerge, as our civilization has taught us, from rigorous debate, critical examination, and the courage to challenge established assumptions. That, I believe, is the ethos that the Chintan Research Foundation seeks to embody. Not merely the production of knowledge, but the cultivation of understanding. Not merely the exchange of ideas, and of course, ideas are very, very vital for any think tank, but also the pursuit of insight. At a time when public discourse is often driven by speed rather than substance, when WhatsApp University rules the roost, such a commitment to thoughtful chintan or reflection is both timely and deeply necessary. And it's necessary because the challenges confronting us today are of a scale and complexity that defy simplistic answers. Reflection is not a luxury in such circumstances. It is a prerequisite to sound judgment. We live in an era where information travels instantly, but understanding often arrives later. We have more data than any generation in human history, yet we continue to struggle with the most fundamental questions of governance, of sustainability, of coexistence. In such a world, institutions like the Chintan Research Foundation perform a vital function in our democracy. They create space for reflection amidst acceleration. The question then is not merely whether institutions like this are needed, but whether they can rise to the demands of the moment. The story of CRF over the past couple of years suggests that it has sought to do precisely this. CRF has arrived at the exact moment when India needs institutions capable of thinking clearly about a world that is changing with dizzying speed, certainly faster than our traditional categories for understanding this change. By integrating practical industry insights into advocacy, into governance, you ensure that policy is neither formulated in an ideological vacuum nor left to the whims of short-term transactionalisms. What strikes me most vividly about CRF's story so far is the remarkable pace of its evolution. In merely 2 years, CRF has demonstrated that intellectual influence is not measured by age, but by relevance, by rigor, and the quality of its engagement with the issues of our time. The Foundation began its journey in the summer of 2024 with a modest core team, I'm told, of just 5 people, united, of course, by a shared vision. Within a matter of months, that nucleus expanded, bringing together experienced researchers, research mentors, and a highly energetic cohort of young scholars and interns. The result has been the establishment of an institution that combines the wisdom of experience with the dynamism of youth, a combination that is often the hallmark of enduring intellectual enterprise. Yet growth in numbers alone is never a measure of success. What ultimately matters is the clarity of purpose that animates that growth, with the intellectual contribution that it seeks to make. What makes this growth particularly significant, I believe, is that it's been guided by that clear sense of purpose. The Chintan Research Foundation was established with the conviction that policy must be informed by evidence, scholarship, and a deep understanding of India's aspirations. Its commitment to contributing to the vision of a Viksit Bharat by 2047, the deadline can be argued about, but it's a worthwhile aspiring to a particular target, reflects an ambition that is both national in focus and global in outlook. Equally important is its determination to articulate and advance the perspectives of the global South, ensuring that the voices, experiences, and priorities of emerging societies find their rightful place in international conversations. In a rapidly changing world, institutions that can bridge rigorous research on the one hand with real-world policy challenges on the other perform a service not only to governments, but to the greater public good for all of us. I'm glad that CRF today has grown into a vibrant international community, an intellectual community, bringing together researchers, scholars, and practitioners committed to addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our age. What's particularly noteworthy is that the breadth of its ambition is growing. From climate change and the energy transition to trade, investment, and increasingly, I hope, geopolitics and strategic affairs, CRF has sought to engage with issues that will profoundly shape India's future and the evolving international order. Its work reflects an understanding that public policy cannot afford to operate in silos. The economic, the environmental, and the strategic dimensions of our world are increasingly intertwined. By placing India at the center of its analysis, while remaining attentive to the concerns and the aspirations of the global South as a whole, the CRF has carved out a distinctive space for itself in the policy ecosystem. This is not the trajectory of an institution content to merely observe events from the sidelines. It is a trajectory of one that seeks to contribute meaningfully to the ideas and solutions that will define the decades ahead. You know, what's particularly encouraging is that this ambition has not remained confined to broad policy questions alone. It's also extended to examining the social dimensions of development and asking who benefits from the transformations we so often celebrate. I'm equally struck by CRF's conscious efforts to interrogate the gender paradoxes within our transitioning society. Your active engagement during the visit of several women ambassadors to Mundra Port, for example, highlights an instinct for asking a fundamental question. Who gets included in the stories of economic development? You are treating gender inclusion not as a fashionable afterthought, but as a rigorous line of inquiry in its own right. Now, none of this remarkable output happens by accident. It reflects a philosophy that India's journey is one of resilience, of innovation, and of resurgence, rooted in an ancient civilization, yet dynamically shaping the global future. You are guided by the immortal civilizational ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the profound truth that the whole world is one family, and that ideas ought to transcend borders to build a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. Through strategic corporate partnerships and deep alliances with think tanks, I believe like the Pathfinder Foundation, CUTS International, and others, you have proven that patient, structured argument outlasts pure noise. So my final hope for the Chintan Research Foundation on this Founders' Day is a simple one, that you continue to be exactly what your name promises, to reflect rigorously and without fear on the hardest questions facing India and the Global South, and to let that reflection drive real change. On the evidence of your first 2 years, I see every reason to believe that you will successfully convert scholarly insights into a beacon of pioneering thought and cooperative strategy for the 21st century. So all the best. If I had a glass in my hand, I'd say let's raise a toast to them, but all the best, Chintan, and Jai Hind. Thank you all.